respected members of O Block. Even the notorious King Von, a drill rap icon and an alleged serial killer with 7 bodies, immortalized Duke's menacing reputation on his track
Damn, King Von had 7 bodies?
Beat Dat Body, where he boasted about taking Duke on hits with him and giving him the menacing nickname King Kong. But the question is, what had Duke done in the streets to make King Von give him such a name?
Chill, we finna find out.
Even though Duke never lived in the Parkway Gardens, aka the O Block housing projects, his destiny was intertwined with that community from early on.
Now, still reside in O Block today, or you've moved out since then?
Oh, no, I don't live in that, no. I don't live in that, dog.
He said, oh, no, I don't live in that, nah. I don't live in that, nah.
I thought you said where I was raised at, like, you know what I'm saying?
Okay, so let's back up. You were raised in O Block from about 8, 9 till when?
I never lived in there, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
That's true. I never lived in there. I just grew up around in that neighborhood, you know
Got
what I'm
it.
saying?
His family had moved just outside O Block when he was just 8 years old, while having first spent his early years in the so-called Calumet building, aka the Randolph Tower, located only about a block away from Parkway. This building was home to many kids who would later become members of O Block, while at the time it acted as a headquarters for an infamous Black Disciple faction
That basically was just like the projects.
that ran a massive drug operation from there during the 90s and early 2000s, before the building was ultimately demolished in the mid-2000s.
Right.
No, I was in that area, like in that vicinity, you know what I'm saying? And once
So he never lived there. He basically was like lived on the outskirt of it, you know?
my project got too down, I kind of moved right there, you know what I'm saying, to O Block when I was kind of like a kid.
Duke has opened up in interviews about how his youth was a harsh landscape of poverty and uncertainty.
Right.
I grew up, goddamn it, sleeping on the floor, you know what I'm saying, with a house full of people, you know what I'm saying? So that was kind of like a...
And he was also mentioned how he was haunted by the fear of possibly not seeing his own 18th birthday.
Is something gonna happen to me, or will I be able to make it to...
Nah, no bullshit. You do have that fear. If you live in Chicago, you be like, damn, am I gonna make it to C18?
This
Then when you finally do make it, you like, celebrate.
age, you know? So.
The halls of elementary and high school served as a breeding ground for alliances and animosities. Other kids who would later become members of affiliated gangs like Lamron, 600, and Front Street.
We all grew up together. Like, we all went to the same grammar school, you know? We all went to the same grammar school. And it just grammar school to high school and to the age we is now.
And members of rival gangs like 051 Young Money, who were located on the other side of Washington Park.
Right,
in school
they had toured with each other.
A lot of motherfuckers from 51st Young Money, it was a lot of their ass, and I ain't gonna lie. A lot of like Rockhead and all their ass, I think. Arrow, all them.
As he got older, Duke would become very close with many of the O Block's most infamous members, including O.D. Perry, T-Roy, and of course King Von. By the age of 14 in 2008, Duke's entanglement with the law became a defining chapter, and his early and frequent arrests and incarcerations led to him dropping out of high school, while also effectively sidelining him during Chief Keef's early ascent to the top of the drill movement in the early 2010s, and the subsequent explosion of King Von's rap career in the late 2010s too.
I say Von was a top moment, but I wasn't around for it. I was kind of locked up, but that was like a top moment.
But when he would be free,
So wait, Von was up in the 2010? What the hell going on?
between those time periods, Duke plunged headfirst into the streets. As mentioned earlier, the tragic murder of T-Roy ignited a firestorm of vengeance within O Block, and the summer of 2017, named the Summer of Get Back, became synonymous with the chilling moniker, the Get Back Gang, as O Block members were out for revenge.
Get back
Later
gang,
on,
we gon'
whispers
get
in
'em.
the streets and on the internet have often pointed to Munna-Duke having been one of the central figures in this series of retaliatory killings that followed T-Roy's death.
Right. So him, T-Roy, and King Von, they always like this, basically. Okay, cool.
The bloodshed began on May the 14th, 2017, as Warren Delton, known in Jaro City as Lil Ho, became the alleged victim of the Get Back
Lil Ho.
gang. As he stood with a group near 62nd and Eberhart, only a few minutes drive from O Block, 4 shadowy figures emerged from an alley. 3 unleashed a hail of gunfire that struck Lil Ho down, and in a brutal display, at least one shooter stood over his fallen body, delivering multiple final shots before vanishing back into the streets. The case remains unsolved, and the perpetrators a mystery to this day. But many key Get Back gang members, such as McAdoo from 600 and E-Dog, Gleesh, and Duke from O Block, are regularly considered to be the main suspects.
So y'all just putting bodies on anybody. Sound kind of weird to me, shit.
Just 8 days after Lil Ho's murder, on May the 22nd, the violence continued as Jamie Jones, known in the streets as M.O.B. Jamo, was driving westbound on 59th Street at LaSalle when an occupant of another vehicle opened fire, striking him multiple times. Authorities identified him as a gangster disciple, and his death occurred in the heart of a known gang conflict zone. Though concrete evidence would again remain elusive, the hand of the Get Back gang was once again suspected, with rumors placing 600 members, McAdoo and Cap, and O Block members, Duke and HK at the scene. The violence continued a month later. On June the 16th, Taekwondo World member Sherrod Rhyme, better known as Poppy, was at his workplace at the L&P Foods and Candy Warehouse on the corner of 71st and State Street.
The victim, so he worked at this candy store.
Shortly after 3
You gangbanging working at a candy store? You better off hiding in the warehouse at Amazon somewhere. What the hell? What the helly?
p.m., a seemingly ordinary act of assisting a customer would turn deadly.
The subject was putting groceries in the vehicle
When a shooter suddenly appeared from a four-door vehicle, firing multiple shots at point-blank range before quickly getting back to the vehicle, which would then flee northbound.
Oh, bro. You cannot work at a regular place if you gangbang. Let me make this clear again. You cannot work at another regular place if you gangbang. Stop doing that, bro.
Adam, it was a dark four-door vehicle. The subject jumped out, shot at close range, got back in and fled north.
3 of these shots would hit Poppy's head, and he would have no chance of surviving. The brazen murder had several witnesses who offered a description of the shooter, around 6 feet tall with dreadlocks and face concealed by a mask.
Male black, 6 foot with dreads and a white t-shirt and jeans.
Initial suspicions fell on T-Roy's brother, HK, who was seen flaunting his T-Roy pendant in the aftermath of the murder, as if sending a message that he had indeed avenged his brother's death. And after this incident, HK, or Heck as he was known at the time, would get his nickname, the initials HK actually being short for Headshot King. But while the murder of Poppy has always been attributed to HK, the narrative would get more complex, as members of Taekwondo World would heavily memorialize Poppy after Duke's murder, perhaps hinting at a deeper and more direct connection between Duke and Poppy's killing. The witness's description of the shooter was a tall figure with dreads, and that would chillingly align more closely with Munnaduke's appearance at the time, who was both taller than HK and had slightly longer dreadlocks. This convincing some that Poppy's killer had indeed actually been Duke,
Probably had a magic trick and just, it probably was both of them, shit.
while it's also possible that he might well have been the driver for the hit.
Talking about the driver. So Duke the
The
one that
following
shot?
year, on June the 16th, 2018, the bloodshed revisited the streets. It was around 9:50 p.m. when 2 men were gunned down outside of a restaurant on the 400 block of the East 63rd Street,
Damn!
only a stone's throw away from O Block. Troy Hampton, an innocent janitor, aged 43, was struck in the chest, dying at the scene, while 22-year-old DeAndre Wallace, known as GetRight or Man from STL EBT, also fell victim to the hail of bullets, succumbing to his wounds in the hospital. Surveillance footage painted a grim picture, showing 2 shooters running up and relentlessly targeting both victims, even continuing to fire at GetRight as he lay helpless on the ground. And while officially unsolved, online theories have pointed strongly towards 2 members of O Block, Munnaduke and the infamous shooter from the younger generation called Muwop. In the same month, King Von ominously tweeted,
so they saying Duke and Muwop did that? Damn.
About a new op pack that his brothers had created, while O Block veteran E-Dog added fuel to the fire, posting a picture featuring Muwop and Duke, accompanied by the caption, "You better get right or get left," a phrase also used in other social media posts that featured both Muwop and Duke. Muwop himself would share a photo with Duke in what fans speculated was them reenacting the murder, as Muwop makes a gun with his fingers pointing directly at the camera, while Duke's gun fingers point towards the ground like he's standing over somebody shooting, with Muwop captioning the post saying that people have no idea what type of bond they have together, while ending with the cryptic line that the picture speaks for itself. King Von's track Problems again would also eerily mirror the details of this horrific incident, with lyrics
They say we was sliding buddies.
describing shooting both the target and a witness, while King Von can even be seen gesturing towards Duke in the track's music video right after he raps these lines. After earning his stripes in the streets, and unfortunately losing King Von, who at the time of his runaway rap career looked like O Block's ticket out of the streets, Duke himself would start rapping in 2021, with what appeared to be his first ever song, 12 AM. A clear homage to King Von's 2020 song, 3 AM, Duke even interpolated Von's flow in his version of the track, while the song as a whole was an incredibly disrespectful diss towards O Block's dead enemies, with one lyric referencing a shooting where a woman got hit, rapping that even if a girl gets hit, he doesn't give a F because he's trying to do his ops like FBG Duck, who was famously
Oh my God.
shot dead by O Block members who would also hit the woman that he was with. Duke would also give a shout out to one of Duck's killers, C Murder, as well as shouting out Heck, or the Headshot King, rapping how they are the Get Back Gang, kind of implying that HK was his alleged partner in crime and the potential shooter or driver during the hit on Taekwondo World member Poppy. Duke would also rap about lurking in the streets trying to kill their ops so much that they forget to even eat dinner, while proudly repping his King Kong nickname that King Von gave him, and saying that you can't even hang out with him if you haven't killed someone. The song also had a music video where Duke Duke can be seen rapping in O Block, flanked by some of the most notorious members like E-Dog and Muwop.
Right.
Fans loved the song, with many saying that he even had some of King Von's spirit in him and that they were excited for Duke having a bright future in the rap game. Duke followed that up with songs like Winnin' and Right Back, where he rapped about doing drills where the witness was killed too, with some believing that this is another reference to the janitor that was killed on the GetRight hit. The song was an instant classic.
Yep, he did it.
One comment said that Duke was even picking up where King Von left off, and another called Duke 3 for 3 as a rapper. For fans that were longing for that Von-esque flow on hard-hitting beats, Duke appeared to be someone that they could bet on to take over the rap game. Duke also collaborated with other O-Block rappers like Ocho Munna and Prince Dre on the remix for Ocho's Bean It song, followed by the songs No Hook and Off the Porch. Then moving on to one of his biggest releases of his career, this interestingly being his first international collaboration with the UK rapper Millions. Their track 10 to the O was an epic collab where Millions actually went to O-Block and shot a music video with all the iconic O-Block members, with Duke rapping lyrics about a murder eerily resembling GetRight's, saying that he caught someone lacking in front of the store. The video even ended in a respectful chain swap between these two international drill artists. Duke was making big moves internationally with his music, and there would also be a rumor that Duke had seemingly tapped in with Central C's most feared op, Digga D, for a collab. And while nothing officially got released, a leaked track called Legally Blind featured the two artists, with Digga immediately dissing a dead op that they've been smoking on so much that he believes that he's now the UK's Tuka, and Munna Duke would rap about being a 13-year-old shooter looking for a body and then walking up and shooting at close range. Duke was getting a lot of motion as a rapper.
You did that to yourself.
And he kept releasing singles and music videos all the way through 2022. Then, leading up to the release of his full project, Munna Duke would release the track Passenger Side, rapping that he didn't cry after Von died, but he still planned on getting Get Back, a message most likely aimed at Quando Rondo and Lil Tim, suggesting that the Get Back gang might still be out looking for blood. While Duke would also shout out the up-and-coming generations of O-Block. Then, in August 2023, he released a full project called Welcome to the Jungle, the title and cover art being a clear nod to the fearsome O-Block housing projects. Duke promoted the project with music videos like the song Intro, where he introduced himself as having money to support his mama by buying her a house, his gang by buying them a chain, whilst also paying for many lawyers. Releasing a full mixtape was a huge achievement for Duke, because in a world where few people survive or even start a music career, let alone having the focus to complete a full body of work, is a monumental achievement. But Duke wasn't slowing down, and he would keep putting out music, like his guest verse on perhaps the longest running O-Block veteran Boss Top song, Get Back Gang, a song that unsurprisingly paid tribute to the Get Back Gang's brutal campaign of revenge after T-Roy's murder. The song also featured the O-Block legend E-Dog as well as the late Zell Munna. On the track, Duke proudly claimed his King Kong nickname while rapping how he's back in heck mode after running after ops, and claiming that he puts hits on people for $10,000, as well as promising to...
I know y'all ain't going on hits for 10,000. 10,000? Gang!
Slide twice as hard on ops to avenge both T-Roy and King Von. Unfortunately, it was ultimately this very ethos of never-ending...
Damn, motherfuckers be that fucked up going on shit for 10 bands? The hell going on?
...ending Get Back that would likely become Munna Duke's own undoing. And, like it often happens, the Get Back would come when he least expected it.
Dang, long live Duke, long live everybody, man.